You know that moment when your entire world shatters. Not slowly, not over time, but in one single, brutal second. Yeah. Mine shattered at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in a hospital ICU that smelled like disinfectant and death. While I held my mother's cold hand and listened to the steady beep of machines keeping her alive. I'd been there for 16 hours straight. My eyes burned. My back ached. My heart was breaking. And then, my phone lit up. Kevin, my husband, the man who'd promised to love me in sickness and in health. I actually thought, he was calling to check on me, to ask about Mama, to tell me he was on his way. I was so wrong. The audio message started playing, and I swear I felt my blood turn to ice. His voice, that voice I'd woken up next to for 7 years, was cold, annoyed, like I was some inconvenient employee who'd missed a deadline. Diana, I don't have time for this drama. Tiffany is having a complete meltdown. The wedding planner needs the final $20,000 transferred tonight or we lose the deposit. I mean it, babe. Your mom's already lived a full life. Tiffany's just starting hers. This is her special day. Transfer the money now. You have 10 minutes, or I'm blocking your cards. And then, silence. Not, how's your mom? Not, I'm sorry you're going through this. Just an ultimatum, a threat. A knife twisted into my chest while my mother lay dying 3 feet away from me. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I tried to process what I'd just heard. Did he actually just say my mother had lived enough? That his spoiled 24-year-old sister's wedding was more important than my mother's life? I looked at Mama Rose, her face so pale against the white pillow, tubes running from her arms, and something inside me snapped. Not broke, snapped, like a wire pulled too tight for too long. I opened my banking app with numb fingers, my vision blurring with tears I refused to let fall, and that's when I saw it. Our joint account, the one Kevin had access to, was at $247. He'd drained everything, thousands of dollars, gone. He'd already taken it all and was coming back for more, reaching into my secret investment account like I was his personal ATM. And in that moment, sitting in that cold hospital room with my dying mother and my dead marriage, I made a decision. I pulled up the wedding venue's website, found the event coordinator's emergency number, and I did something I should have done years ago. I fought back. I need you to understand something. This didn't start at 3 a.m. in that hospital. This had been building for 7 years. 7 years of being the golden goose, the workhorse, the lucky girl who'd married into Kevin's prestigious family. See, when I met Kevin, I was 23, working 60-hour weeks as a junior analyst. My parents had immigrated from Honduras with nothing, and Mama Rose cleaned houses for 20 years so I could be the first in our family to graduate college. Kevin had the pedigree, the connections, the fancy last name. Carter, his mother, Linda, never let me forget it. What I didn't know was that the Carter family was broke. Not struggling, broke. Kevin's father had left behind a mountain of debt disguised as investments. They needed me, my income, my financial literacy, my immigrant work ethic that Linda loved to mock at dinner parties while depositing my checks. Oh, Diana works in finance, she'd say with that tight smile. So ethnic, so hardworking. Behind closed doors. Linda called me La Criada, the maid. She'd wrinkle her nose at the food Mama brought to family dinners. Kevin would just shrug. That's just how Mom is, babe. Like casual racism was just a quirky personality trait. And Tiffany, Linda's baby girl, 24 years old, never worked a day in her life, still living at home in what I paid for. She'd decided she wanted a fairy tale wedding. And guess who was funding the fairy tale? Me. But I kept writing the checks because I loved Kevin. Because I thought if I just gave enough, sacrificed enough, they'd finally see me as one of them. The rehearsal dinner was 3 weeks before Mama's heart attack. I was late because I'd been at the hospital with Mama for routine tests. Linda took one look at me and announced loudly, "Nice of you to join us, Diana. We were starting to think you'd gotten lost on your way from the barrio." Kevin grabbed my arm, hard, fingers digging into my bicep hard enough to bruise, and pulled me toward the hallway. I thought he was going to comfort me. Instead, he hissed, "You don't get to embarrass me like this. Not tonight. Your mother is fine. She's always fine. This drama needs to stop." His grip tightened. "You're going to go back in there, apologize to my mother, smile, and play your part, understand?" And I did. I went back in. I apologized. I smiled until my face hurt. And that night, lying in bed next to Kevin, I looked at the purple bruises blooming on my arm in the shape of his hand. And I wondered, when did I become so small? The call came 6 days later. I was at work, in the middle of a board meeting, when Mama's neighbor called. Diana, you need to come now. I found your mother on the floor. The ambulance is taking her to St. Mary's." The world tilted. I grabbed my bag and I ran. By the time I got to the hospital, Mama was already in the ICU. The doctor sat me down. "Your mother had a massive heart attack. She needs emergency bypass surgery within 72 hours. Without it." She didn't finish. She didn't have to. "How much?" I asked. With your mother's insurance, you're looking at about $45,000 out of pocket." I had savings, not in the joint account. Kevin had been borrowing from that for months. But I had my private investment account, the one I'd kept separate. It had exactly $68,000, enough for the surgery, enough to save her. I pulled out my wallet to give them my credit card for the deposit, our joint card, the platinum one with the $50,000 limit. The billing coordinator swiped it, frowned, swiped it again. "I'm sorry, ma'am. This card has been declined. It's showing as over the limit." My heart stopped. Over the limit? That was impossible. My personal debit card? Also declined. Insufficient funds. Kevin had drained that too. And then I remembered, 3 days ago, Tiffany posting on Instagram, a photo of her in a wedding dress, a Vera Wang, $18,000. The caption, "When your amazing big brother surprises you with your dream dress. Blessed family. Best brother ever." He'd used our money, my money, to buy his sister a dress while my mother lay dying, and I couldn't even afford to save her life. The rage that filled me was unlike anything I'd ever felt. It wasn't hot. It was cold, calculated, surgical. I transferred $50,000 from my investment account to my checking, paid the hospital deposit, authorized the surgery, Mama Rose would live, and then I started doing math. The wedding was in 12 days. The final payment to the venue, $20,000, was due in 72 hours. Kevin knew I had that investment account. He'd been hinting at it for weeks. My phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. Not, "How's your mom?" Just, "Babe, reminder, venue needs the final $20K by Friday. Can you handle that? I'm swamped with work stuff. Love you." Work stuff. He hadn't worked in 14 months. He'd been between opportunities, spending his days golfing and his nights losing money on sports betting apps. I looked at Mama through the ICU window, tubes and wires keeping her alive. She'd given up everything for me. And what had I given up? My dignity, my self-respect, my money, my life. All for a family that saw me as a walking checkbook. No more. I opened my laptop, connected to the hospital Wi-Fi, and I started planning. Not the wedding, the war. Here's what they don't tell you about revenge. It's not hot and impulsive. Real revenge, the kind that actually works, is cold, methodical, It's done at 2 a.m. in a hospital cafeteria with terrible coffee and a laptop, while your mother sleeps upstairs and your soon-to-be ex-husband has no idea his world is about to implode. I had 12 days until the wedding. 12 days to dismantle everything. And I was going to use every single one. First, I made a list. What was in my name? What did I control? Turns out, almost everything. The house, mine, purchased before I met Kevin. The cars, both in my name because Kevin's credit was temporarily affected. The cell phone plan, a corporate family plan through my company. The venue deposit, the honeymoon to Bali, the rehearsal dinner, even Tiffany's engagement ring, $12,000 my money, purchased by Kevin who'd I'd forgotten in his wallet that day. I started with the venue. It was 2:47 a.m. I called the emergency coordinator. Willowbrook Estate, this is Marcus. I kept my voice steady, professional. Hi, Marcus. This is Diana Carter. I'm the primary card holder for the Johnson Carter wedding on the 24th. I need to invoke Clause 7.3 of our contract, the charitable donation cancellation. Silence. Then, Mrs. Carter, are you sure? That's the clause where you forfeit the deposits, but we donate the equivalent value to a charity of your choice. I'm aware, I said. I'm canceling the event, and I'd like the $35,000 donated to the Green Meadows Senior Living Center. It's a state-funded assisted living facility. They do wonderful work with low-income seniors. I thought about Linda, about how she'd spent 7 years telling anyone who'd listen about her connections, her status, about how she'd die before she ended up in some low-class facility. And I smiled. Marcus was quiet. Then, "Ma'am, does Mr. Carter know about this?" I looked at my phone, at Kevin's text demanding $20,000. Mr. Carter will be informed shortly. Next, I canceled everything else. The limousines, $4,000 refund. The honeymoon resort in Bali, $8,500 refund. The photographer, the videographer, the string quartet, one by one, piece by piece. I dismantled Tiffany's dream wedding with the efficiency of a woman who'd spent 10 years in corporate finance. Then came the fun part, the cell phones. I was the account holder for Kevin, Linda, and Tiffany's lines. At 4:17 a.m., I logged into the portal and suspended all three. Not canceled, suspended. Which meant their phones would work just enough to receive one last message before going dark. I typed, "Service suspended for non-payment. Account holder has been notified." Perfect. They'd think it was a billing error. I opened my email and drafted, "Dear family, I've made the difficult decision to cancel the wedding and donate all funds to charity. Kevin will explain. Best wishes, Diana." I attached the venue cancellation and the donation receipt showing $35,000 donated to Green Meadows in Linda Carter's name. I sat back and felt nothing. Not guilt, not sadness. Just a calm, clear certainty that I was doing exactly what I should have done years ago. My phone buzzed. Kevin. Again. "D, it's almost 5 a.m. Why haven't you confirmed the transfer? Tiff is freaking out. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Just send the money." I looked at that message for a long time, at the audacity, the complete absence of any awareness that his wife was in a hospital, that her mother was in surgery prep, and I typed back, "Check your email." Then I hit send on the group message, to Kevin, to Linda, to Tiffany, to all 20 people on the wedding coordination chain. And then I turned off my phone, went back upstairs to the ICU, sat down next to Mama Rose, and I waited. Not for them. For her. For the only person who'd ever truly chosen me back. I didn't turn my phone back on for 16 hours. 16 blissful hours where I sat with Mama Rose, held her hand through pre-op, watched them wheel her into surgery, and waited. The surgeon came out at 11:23 a.m. It had gone well, better than expected. She'd live. My mother would live. I cried then. Not pretty crying, the ugly, snotty kind that comes from somewhere deep where you've been holding everything in for so long. And for the first time in 7 years, I felt like I could breathe. At 2 p.m., I finally powered on my phone. 63 missed calls, 87 text messages, 14 voicemails. My email had exploded with 103 new messages. I scrolled through them slowly, sipping terrible hospital coffee, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy. Kevin's text started calm. "Babe, what email?" Then confused. "Why is the venue saying we're canceled?" Then angry. "Diana, call me now." Then desperate. "My mom is losing it. Tiffany won't stop crying. You don't understand what you've done." But the best ones were from Linda, because Linda left voicemails, and they were spectacular. "Diana Marie Santos Carter, I don't know what kind of stunt you think you're pulling, but you will fix this immediately. My daughter's wedding is not being canceled because you're having some episode. Call me back in 10 minutes or I'm calling your employer and telling them you've stolen company funds." I laughed out loud. The second voicemail was louder, more desperate. "You ungrateful little. Do you have any idea what we've done for you? We welcomed you into our family. We overlooked your background, and this is how you repay us. By donating our money to some poverty home? You had no right. Our money. It was always our money when they wanted to spend it. But when bills came due, then it was my money, my responsibility. Here's what they didn't know. I wasn't just Diana who works in finance. I was Diana Santos, senior financial analyst at Morrison & Drake, one of the top firms in the state. I knew contract law. I knew my rights. Every single thing I'd canceled, I'd had the legal right to cancel. They couldn't sue me, couldn't prosecute me, couldn't do anything except rage while their fantasy world collapsed. My phone rang, Kevin, for the 64th time. "And you know what?" I answered. "Hello," I said, like I was answering a telemarketer. "Diana, oh thank God. Baby, listen, we can fix this. Just tell me you didn't actually cancel." "I did," I said simply. Silence. Then, "What?" His voice cracked. "I canceled the wedding. Donated the money to an assisted living facility in your mother's name. Canceled the honeymoon, the limos, the photographer. All of it." "You can't. That's not your decision to make. That's my money," I interrupted. My voice was steel. "Every penny of it. And I chose to spend it on something more worthwhile than watching your family humiliate me for one more day." "Humiliate you? We love you." "Your family," I laughed. "Family? Kevin, you told me my dying mother had lived enough. So I should prioritize your sister's party. You drained our accounts to buy her a dress while I couldn't pay for my mother's surgery. You grabbed me hard enough to bruise me. That's not love, that's abuse, and I'm done." Silence. Then, darker. "Where are you?" "I'm at the hospital, with my mother, who's alive, by the way. Thanks for asking. I'm coming there. Right now, we're going to talk and you're going to— I'm going to what? The wedding is canceled. It's done. And if you come to this hospital, I've already notified security. You'll be arrested for trespassing. Go home, Kevin. Go comfort your sister. Go explain to your mother how you destroyed your marriage by treating your wife like an ATM. But stay away from me, and stay away from my mother." I hung up. Blocked his number. Blocked Linda's. Blocked Tiffany's. And then I went back to Mama's room, pulled a chair up next to her bed, and I closed my eyes. It wasn't over. I knew that. The real confrontation was still coming. But for now, I'd won the first battle. And honestly, it felt amazing. They came the next morning. I should have known they would. It was 9:47 a.m. I'd just finished helping Mama eat some Jell-O. She was tired but smiling, telling me in Spanish how proud she was of me. She didn't know about the canceled wedding yet. She just knew I was there, and that was enough. And then I heard it. The shouting, down the hallway, getting closer. Linda. Where is she? Where is that little thief? Don't you touch me. I stepped out of the room just as they rounded the corner. All three of them, Linda in full makeup and a designer pantsuit, Tiffany in her Lululemon and oversized sunglasses, mascara streaked down her face, and Kevin. Kevin looked like he hadn't slept. Good. There you are, Linda's voice echoed. You think you can ruin my daughter's life and face no consequences? A nurse stepped forward. Ma'am, you need to lower your voice. This is an intensive care. I don't care what this is. That woman stole from us. I didn't steal anything, I said quietly. My voice cut through her hysteria like a knife. I canceled services that I paid for. With my money. Tiffany let out a dramatic sob. How could you do this to me? This was supposed to be the best day of my life. I looked at her. This 24-year-old woman who'd never worked, never struggled, and I felt nothing. Your best day was more important than my mother's life, in an ICU, where people are actually dying. Your mother is fine, Linda spat. She's old. She's had her time. But Tiffany, you've humiliated her. Everyone knows now. It's all over social media. People are calling it the ghost wedding. And there it was. Not concern for Tiffany's feelings, just the image, the reputation. Get out, I said. Get out right now, or I'm calling security. Linda lunged forward, her hand raised like she was actually going to hit me, but Kevin caught her arm, not to protect me, because he'd seen the security guard approaching. Baby, he said, his voice going soft, pleading. Can we just talk? Just you and me. No. One word, but it felt like power. Kevin, we're done. The marriage is over. I'll have divorce papers drawn up by Monday. You can't divorce me, Kevin's mask slipped. We're married. You don't get to just walk away. Breakdown, I laughed. Kevin, I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years. You drained our joint account. You used my credit without permission. You told me my mother's life was worth less than your sister's party. And then I pulled out my phone, opened the voice memo app. You threatened me. I pressed play. Kevin's voice filled the hallway. Your mom's already lived a full life. Tiffany's just starting hers. Transfer the money now. You have 10 minutes, or I'm blocking your cards. I watched his face go pale. I've sent this to my lawyer, along with bank statements showing you drained $23,000 without my consent. Medical bills showing I couldn't pay for my mother's surgery because of what you stole. And documentation of every penny I've earned versus every penny you've contributed, which, for the record, is 0. You haven't worked in 14 months. I've been building my business. You've been gambling. Sports betting apps. I have the statements. $47,000 in losses. My money. Gone. The silence was deafening. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave. You're going to move out of my house, which is in my name, and you're going to accept the divorce settlement I offer. Or I can make this very, very public. Every receipt, every text, every voicemail from your mother calling me ethnic slurs. Everything. Your choice. Then the security guards arrived. Is there a problem here? Yes, I said. These individuals are disturbing patients and have been asked to leave. This is discrimination, Linda shrieked. You're being removed because you're violating hospital policy, the guard said firmly. Let's go. As they were escorted down the hallway, Linda shouting threats, Tiffany sobbing, Kevin walking with slumped shoulders, I stood there and watched them go. And I felt something shift inside me. I wasn't scared anymore, wasn't small. I walked back into Mama's room. She was watching me with knowing eyes. Mija, what happened? I sat down, took her hand, and I told her everything. When I finished, she smiled, this fierce, proud smile, and said, "Good. You are your mother's daughter. We don't beg for respect. We demand it." And right then, I knew I'd made the right choice. Because some things, dignity, self-respect, family, are worth more than any wedding. Mama was released from the hospital 4 days later. 4 days of peace. 4 days of just me and my mother, talking, laughing, planning our future. But the whole time, I knew there was still one massive problem waiting for me at home. Kevin. Did I really think he'd just pack his things and leave? Of course not. So on the morning of Mama's discharge, I made a call to my lawyer, Rachel Chen. We'd gone to college together, and she was the best family law attorney in the state. "Diana, I was wondering when you'd call. Tell me everything." I did. The whole story. When I finished, Rachel was quiet for 3 seconds. Then, "Okay, first of all, you're a badass. Second, we need to move fast. He's still in your house. As far as I know, don't go back alone. We're going to do this right. Legal, clean. Do you have the deed showing you bought the house before the marriage?" "Yes, and we never added his name to it." "Smart woman. California law says that if someone isn't on the deed and isn't paying rent, they're a guest, not a tenant. You have every legal right to revoke that guest status. We're going to send him a formal notice to vacate. Today and tomorrow. We're changing those locks." The notice was delivered by courier at 2 p.m. Rachel called me at 2:47 p.m. He signed for it. And Diana? He called me 15 minutes later, screaming about how this is illegal, how he has rights. I let him rant, then informed him that if he's not out by noon tomorrow, I'm filing a restraining order based on the audio evidence and his mother's attempted assault at the hospital, which was caught on security cameras. He hung up on me. I laughed. "So he's leaving." "Oh, he's leaving. But be prepared. Men like him always take one last shot." She was right. I went back to the house the next morning, with Rachel, a locksmith, and a police officer as a civil standby. The front door was unlocked. We walked in and... oh, he'd taken his shot all right. The living room looked like a tornado had hit it. Furniture overturned, picture frames smashed, my framed diplomas torn off the walls. The kitchen was worse. My grandmother's china, the one thing Mama had brought from Honduras, shattered into 1,000 pieces on the floor. But the bedroom was the worst. He'd taken scissors to my clothes. Every dress, every blouse, shredded. My jewelry box was empty. My laptop was gone. And on the bathroom mirror, written in my lipstick, "Hope your mom was worth it." I stood there, staring at those words, and I waited to feel something. Devastation, anger, grief. But all I felt was relief, because this proved everything. Proved I was right to leave. Proved he'd never loved me. Proved he was exactly who I'd finally realized he was. A selfish, violent man-child. "I need photos of everything," Rachel said. "This is destruction of property, divorce gold. He just handed us everything we need." The officer shook his head. "You want to press charges? This could be felony level?" I thought about it. About dragging Kevin through the criminal justice system. And then I thought about Mama, about the energy it would take. No charges. I just want him gone, completely gone. The locksmith changed every lock. New codes for the security system. New passwords for the Wi-Fi. Video doorbell installed. And then I started making calls. Insurance, bank, credit cards, credit bureaus, my employer. It took 6 hours. But by 7 p.m., it was done. Kevin was locked out of my house, my money, my accounts, my life. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. Linda, calling from Tiffany's phone. "Diana, we need to talk about the house. Kevin has rights, And the money you donated, that can be reversed. I've spoken to a lawyer. I deleted it, blocked that number too. But the last voicemail was Kevin. His voice was different. Smaller, scared. Diana, look, I messed up. But this is crazy. You're taking everything. How am I supposed to live? Where am I supposed to go? I don't have any savings because I've been investing in us, in our future, and now you're leaving me with nothing. After 7 years, after everything we built together, like he'd contributed anything. I saved that voicemail. Not because I felt guilty, but because someday, when I doubted myself, when I wondered if I'd been too harsh, I wanted to remember this moment. The moment Kevin tried to make himself the victim, and I wanted to remember that I didn't fall for it. Not this time. Not ever again. Here's the thing about financial abuse. It leaves a paper trail. Every transaction, every forged signature, every unauthorized charge, it's all there, documented, waiting to be found if you know where to look. And after 10 years in corporate finance, I knew exactly where to look. The morning after I changed the locks, I sat down with my laptop, 3 years of bank statements, and a bottle of wine I wasn't opening until I was done. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about making sure Kevin could never do this to another woman. Within the first hour, I found discrepancies. Lots of them. But that wasn't the smoking gun. The real problem was hidden. I found it in month 37 of our marriage, a business loan, $85,000, from Pacific Western Bank, in both our names, except I'd never signed anything. I pulled the original loan documents, and there it was, page 4, Diana M. Santos Carter. Except that wasn't my signature. My capital D has a very specific loop I'd developed in 3rd grade. This D was wrong. Flat. He'd forged it. That wasn't just marital misconduct. That was fraud. Federal fraud. I kept digging. Second loan. Chase. $52,000. Same forged signature. Third. Wells Fargo. $38,000. Then I found the credit cards. 4 of them. All in my name. All with balances totaling $67,000. All opened using my social security number and forged signatures. Kevin had rerouted the statements to a P.O.T.N. box I didn't know existed. The total damage, $242,000. $242,000 of debt in my name that I'd never agreed to, that I'd never even known about. I picked up my phone, called Rachel. I need you to add something to the divorce petition. Identity theft, bank fraud, loan fraud. I'm looking at $242,000 in unauthorized debt, all with forged signatures. Rachel was quiet. Then, Diana, are you sure? Because if you're sure, this isn't just a divorce anymore. This is criminal. I'm sure. I've got the documents. The signatures don't match. I can prove I didn't know these accounts existed. Then we're going to refer this to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Because what he did, that's federal prison. I spent the next 6 days building the case, every document printed and organized, every forged signature circled and compared to my real signatures, every unauthorized transaction highlighted. I filed police reports, filed FTC identity theft affidavits, and I compiled a 63-page dossier titled Financial Fraud Documentation, Kevin James Carter. It was thorough, irrefutable, the work of a woman who'd spent 10 years learning how to track money. I sent copies to my lawyer, my insurance company, and the FBI field office in Los Angeles. The FBI agent who called me back was named Sarah Reeves. Mrs. Carter, I've reviewed your submission. This is extensive. You did good work here. Thank you. I'm a financial analyst. It's what I do. Well, what you've documented is textbook identity theft and loan fraud. Multiple counts. If everything here is accurate, we're looking at federal charges carrying 5 to 10 years per count. 5 to 10 years. Per count. Kevin had committed at least 7 counts. What happens now? Now we investigate. We'll subpoena the banks, bring in handwriting analysts, and if everything checks out, we'll build a criminal case. The arrest happened 3 weeks later. I wasn't there. Rachel thought it was better if I kept my distance. But Linda called me, screaming, hysterical. "You did this! The FBI just arrested Kevin, in handcuffs. They're saying he's facing federal charges. Federal! This is your fault!" I hung up, blocked the number, and I poured myself a glass of that wine I'd been saving, not to celebrate, but to acknowledge. The moment I stopped being a victim and became a woman who refused to be stolen from. Kevin tried to make bail, $150,000, but couldn't come up with the 10%. He'd have to wait in county lockup. Linda tried to mortgage her house to bail him out, but the bank denied her. Too much debt, no income, bad credit. Everything I'd been quietly paying for all these years. 2 days after the arrest, a letter came from Kevin's public defender, a plea deal offer. Kevin would plead guilty to 3 counts of identity theft and 2 counts of bank fraud in exchange for 4 years and restitution of all fraudulent debts. Rachel called, "It's your call. We can push for trial, go for maximum sentences, or we can take the plea and move on." I thought about it. About the satisfaction of watching Kevin squirm on a witness stand. And then I thought about Mama Rose, about the life we were building, about the peace I'd finally found. Take the plea. 4 years is enough. I don't need revenge anymore. I just need him gone. Because here's the thing about revenge. The best kind isn't about destroying your enemy. It's about building a life so good they become irrelevant. Kevin was going to prison. My credit was being repaired. And me? I was free. 6 months after Kevin's arrest, I woke up in my house, my clean, quiet, peaceful house, to the sound of Mama Rose humming in the kitchen. Not the beeping of machines, not the chaos of a hospital, just humming. This old Honduran folk song about butterflies and new beginnings. When was the last time I'd woken up without anxiety? Without that tight knot in my chest? I couldn't even remember. Mama was at the stove making breakfast. Real breakfast. Eggs, beans, fresh tortillas, plantains. "Buenos dias, mija. Sit, eat. You're too skinny." I wasn't too skinny. If anything, I'd gained weight. The good kind. The kind that comes from not being stressed 24/7. "You have that meeting today?" "Yes." "With the lawyer?" "Rachel?" "Yeah. Just finalizing the divorce decree. It's basically done. Kevin signed everything from jail." The plea deal had gone through. Kevin pled guilty. 4 years in federal prison. Full restitution. The divorce was uncontested. I got the house, the car, my retirement accounts, everything. He got nothing. Exactly what he deserved. "And the other thing?" Mama asked carefully. "The baby thing." I smiled, put my hand on my stomach, still flat, still just me, but not for long. "Appointment is next week, the fertility clinic. They said everything looks good. So, yeah, I'm doing it." I was going to be a mother, on my own terms. No Kevin, no toxic in-laws, just me, Mama Rose, and the baby I'd been dreaming about for years. Mama reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Her eyes were wet. "Your father would be so proud. I'm so proud." And that did it. I started crying. The good kind. Because for 7 years, I'd been trying to make people proud who would never be proud of me. And now, the only person I needed to be proud of me was already proud. Had always been proud. The meeting with Rachel was quick. We sat in her office with the final divorce decree. No spousal support. He waived that in the plea deal. No shared assets. No contact order. And this clause states that upon release from prison, Kevin James Carter is prohibited from living within a 50-mile radius of your residence. 50 miles. Not far enough, honestly, but better than nothing. What about Linda and Tiffany? There's no legal restriction on them. But Diana, they won't contact you. Once the money's gone, people like that move on to the next target. You're useless to them now, and that's a good thing. She was right. I hadn't heard from Linda in 4 months. She'd sold the house, downsized to a small condo. Tiffany had gotten a job, an actual job, at a retail store at the mall. Her Instagram had gone silent. The wedding that was supposed to make her Instagram famous had become the ghost wedding, a viral cautionary tale. Her fiancé had dumped her 2 weeks after the scandal. Apparently, he'd been more interested in marrying into wealth than marrying Tiffany herself. Funny how that worked out. I signed the decree. Rachel notarized it. And just like that, I wasn't Diana Santos Carter anymore. I was Diana Santos again. The name my parents gave me. The name I'd built my career on. "How do you feel?" Rachel asked. I thought about it. "Free. I feel free." And it was true. The weight I'd been carrying for 7 years was gone. Just gone. I drove home, taking the long way, past the venue where the ghost wedding was supposed to happen. There was a different couple getting married there today. I felt nothing. I stopped at the grocery store and bought things I wanted. Plantains and yuca and the good coffee from Honduras, fresh flowers, yellow roses because they're my favorite, and a onesie, tiny, yellow, with a little duck on it because hope felt good. When I got home, Mama was in the garden we'd planted together, tomatoes and peppers and cilantro. She was talking to the plants in Spanish, telling them to grow strong. I stood there watching her, this woman who'd sacrificed everything for me, who'd almost died because my husband valued a party more than her life. And I made a promise that she'd never have to worry again, that I'd take care of her the way she'd taken care of me, that the rest of her life would be peaceful and full and surrounded by love. That night, I cooked a full Honduran meal. We ate together at the table, just talking and laughing. After dinner, I pulled out the photo albums, not the wedding albums. I'd thrown those out. But the old albums. Me as a baby, Mama and Papa on their wedding day, my graduation, the life I'd built before Kevin, the life that had always mattered more. "Mija," Mama said, touching a photo of me at 5 years old, gap-toothed and grinning. "You were always strong, even then." I didn't feel strong. When I was with Kevin, I felt small. That's what weak men do. They make strong women feel small so they can feel big. But you were never small. You were just waiting to remember who you are. 3 weeks later, I went to the fertility clinic. When they called my name, I wasn't nervous. I was ready to be the kind of mother Mama had been to me. Fierce, protective, unconditionally loving, ready to raise a child who would never question their worth because someone else's ego was threatened by their strength. 2 weeks after that, I took the test, positive. I stared at those 2 pink lines, then walked into the kitchen where Mama was making breakfast. Wordlessly, I showed her. She looked at it, looked at me, and then she pulled me into her arms and we both cried. Happy tears, healing tears. Your baby, your choice, your life, your happiness. Yes. Mine, all mine, and nobody could take that away. So here's where we are now. 8 months after that night in the hospital ICU. 8 months after I chose my mother over a man who'd never choose me. Kevin is in federal prison, serving year 1 of 4. I heard he's working in the prison library for 12 cents an hour. He'll have about $2,000 saved by the time he gets out. That won't even cover a security deposit on an apartment. Linda sold her house and moved into a small condo. She's got a part-time job at a department store. Reality hit hard when the money train stopped. Tiffany, still at the mall, still single, still posting inspirational quotes about rising above haters while working retail at 28. I don't check their social media anymore. I don't think about them at all. They've become what they always should have been: strangers. Me? I'm 6 months pregnant. It's a girl. I'm naming her Rosa, after my mother. Mama Rose cried for an hour when I told her. We've converted the guest room into a nursery, yellow and white with little ducks everywhere. I got promoted at work, senior financial analyst to assistant director of finance, 40% raise, corner office. My boss told me something had changed in me over the last year. I didn't tell her what, that I'd stopped apologizing for being good at my job, stopped making myself smaller to make insecure men comfortable. The house is paid off, no mortgage, no debt. Just me, Mama, and soon, baby Rosa, living free and clear. We painted the living room, replaced all the furniture Kevin destroyed. Mama planted roses in the front yard, red ones, because she says they represent strength and new beginnings. Every morning, I water them. Every evening, I come home to a house full of love and cooking smells and laughter. Not tension, not criticism, not walking on eggshells. I think about that night sometimes. That audio message. Your mom's lived enough. Tiffany's just starting. And I think about how that one sentence changed everything. Woke me up from a 7-year nightmare. Showed me exactly who they were. And I'm grateful for it. Not grateful it happened, but grateful I finally saw it clearly. Here's what I learned. You can't negotiate with people like that. You can't love them into being better. You can't sacrifice enough or give enough or shrink yourself small enough to make them happy. Because they don't want you to be happy, they want you to be useful. And the second you stop being useful, you see their real faces. Kevin showing up at the hospital to scream at me while Mama recovered. Linda trying to hit me in an ICU. Tiffany sobbing not because her brother was going to prison, but because her Instagram dreams died. They showed me exactly who they were, and I believed them. So I chose. I chose my mother. I chose myself. I chose peace and dignity and self-respect. And yeah, it cost them everything. The wedding, the house, the money, Kevin's freedom, their precious reputation. But you know what it cost me? Nothing, because I didn't lose anything that mattered. I lost dead weight. I lost parasites. I lost people who saw me as a wallet with a pulse. And in return, I got my life back. Mama's healthy now, strong. She walks 3 miles every morning and bosses me around about eating vegetables. She's teaching me all the recipes I never learned, the ones I'll teach Rosa someday. We're building family, real family, the kind that shows up, the kind that chooses you every single day, the kind that would never tell you your mother has lived enough, so you should fund someone else's party. And baby Rosa, she's going to grow up knowing she's enough, just as she is. Not because of what she can provide or how useful she is, just because she exists, because she's loved, because she's ours. She'll grow up watching her grandmother make tortillas and hearing stories about Honduras and learning that strength isn't about how much you can endure. It's about knowing when to walk away, when to say enough, when to choose yourself. They wanted me to choose between my mother and their fantasy, between my dignity and their comfort, between my future and their greed. And I chose. God, I chose. And it was the most expensive decision they ever paid for. Every dollar Kevin stole, paid back in prison time. Every insult Linda threw, paid back in downsized condos and department store jobs. Every entitled demand Tiffany made, paid back in viral humiliation and ghost weddings. They gambled on my desperation, my need to be loved, my immigrant fear of rocking the boat. And they lost. They lost everything. But here's the thing about revenge, the real thing, not the fantasy. It's not about destroying people. It's about building a life so good that their absence makes it better, not worse. It's about waking up and realizing you don't think about them anymore. Don't wonder if you were too harsh. It's about peace. And I have that now. Finally. Completely. Absolutely. So if you're out there, living this, if you're the one being drained, being used, being told your mother has lived enough, or your dreams can wait, or your worth is measured in dollars, listen to me. You deserve better. You deserve everything. And walking away isn't cruel. It's self-preservation. It's survival. It's choosing life over slow death. And yeah, they'll call you selfish, vindictive, ungrateful. But you don't owe anyone your soul, your sanity, your future. You owe yourself the chance to live, really live. And sometimes that means burning down everything to save yourself from the fire. You know what's even crazier than choosing your dying mother over a wedding and watching your whole marriage implode? Imagine inheriting $10 million and immediately kicking your wife out in the rain because you think you're too good for her now. Only to discover the will has a clause. If you divorce her, she gets everything. Every single penny. The look on his face when the lawyer hands her the check? Priceless. You need to see what happens when karma comes with a price tag that big.